Hello and welcome to today's installment of the TriBridge Dynamics SL Financials demo series for bank reconciliation. Today we're going to cover an introduction, what modules integrate with bank reconciliation. We're going to go over some brief differences and similarities between Cash Manager and bank reconciliation. We'll cover the reconciliation process itself, go over the import electronic bank statement feature, and cover the reports that you can use in bank reconciliation, along with the closing procedure. The bank reconciliation module reads transactions that affect cash from accounts payable, accounts receivable, payroll, and the GL. So anytime, for example, in accounts payable that you cut checks to vendors, or in accounts receivable when you have a cash receipt from a customer, any transaction that touches cash can be pulled into the bank reconciliation module using a module import tool. Another option that we'll cover is that you can import the bank statement electronically for automatic reconcile.
A lot of our customers have been wondering, what is the need for a separate bank reconciliation module if the Cash Manager module has the ability to do bank reconciliation? So we wanted to highlight some key differences. While the process itself is ultimately the same between the two modules, the reconciliation steps are different. The bank reconciliation module has more reporting options. It includes detail and summary reports that list the items transferred, cleared, and uncleared, as well as file copies of the bank reconciliation. Each module also has different ways of handling foreign currency. If your company deals with multi-currency transactions, it is translated in the bank reconciliation module to one base currency. However, in the Cash Manager module, this will not be translated. In Cash Manager, say you write a check in Canadian dollars, the Cash Manager module will display the check in Canadian dollars. It will not allow users to mix currencies and transactions to the same cash account. Another difference is with the option of importing the bank file electronically. As you'll see in the demo, BankRec supports up to 3 text files of importing your bank statement, and that's your CSV, separated, standard form, and BAI2, whereas Cash Manager is only capable of handling 1, and that's the delimited ACII files.
What I'll do for this demonstration is pretend that it's month end, or however often you go to run your bank reconciliation procedure. I've gone to my financial institution's website, I've downloaded my bank statement, I'm ready to run a reconcile. So let's go into Microsoft Dynamics SL. I'll go to Financial, Bank Reconciliation, and let's open the reconciliation window. So how this works is bank reconciliation pulls into one centralized location all transactions affecting cash from the subsidiary modules that we listed in the PowerPoint, to then either manually tick off transactions as they appear on your bank statement, or you can use the bank import feature to pull your bank statement electronically in to handle the transaction matching for you. With either option, the end result is going to be a report that shows the process or even any outstanding transactions that show after you've run the reconcile process. One thing I'll do when I have my bank statement is to look and pull out all the transactions that might not be in SL, for example, interest, fees, or service charges, and make sure they get entered into SL so that everything will reconcile. On the other hand, you want to make sure that all the transactions from the subsidiary modules have been posted and updated in the GL so that when you run the module transaction import, you'll see everything and it'll all reconcile. One thing to keep in mind with this demo is it's assuming that some setups are already in place. So like most other modules in Dynamics SL, there are some setups that are necessary before you can start using the module. For example, there's the bank account maintenance. You have to set up all your bank accounts. And BR Setup, which is a window that we'll be visiting throughout this demo to show you how the system behaves based on the settings that you have in place. So let's take a look at that BR Setup window. We'll enter in the company ID that holds the cash account for which you're trying to reconcile. And in this window is where you can put in the company information, name, address, And this is an important field to make sure that you're in the current period for which you want to reconcile. The next step in the process is to run the Module Transaction Import tool. And I'll keep the BR Setup window open next to it so that you can see, based on the settings in this window, how the tool is supposed to behave. Notice at the bottom of the BR Setup window, you've got Integrated Module section. Here is where you can pick and choose which modules you want to tell the bank reconciliation window to pull from. So for example, I don't have payroll checked. Maybe I'm not using the payroll module in SL. But I do want it to pull from the general ledger, accounts payable, and accounts receivable. Another important field is this number of periods captured. Here you can increment by 1 based on the amount of previous periods you want the tool to pull transactions from. So this is just saying current period. I want 1 month or 1 period of transactions to pull in. If I went up to 2, it would pull 1 month prior or 1 period prior. Next, we'll simply click Begin Processing to run the import. Now the system is going to come up with a couple of warning messages because I've already run this import tool to bring the transactions in. And when that happens, the system is just going to let you know, hey, for this account, we've already brought in these transactions. So that's to be expected. Okay, so now that our transactions are in, the next step is to open the reconciliation window, enter the current period for which you want to reconcile and the cash account. And notice that the grid at the bottom populated with these transactions. This was because of the import tool that we ran. Otherwise, it would show blank. So you see you got some AP transactions, some AR transactions, a couple of GL transactions, and we're ready to go. So what you'll do is you'll look at your bank statement and enter the beginning statement balance as per the statement. So let's just say it's $72.75. And one thing to note is that once you run a complete reconciliation for this account and you go into another reconciliation, this beginning statement balance is going to automatically populate with the previous ending balance. So that'll just happen automatically. Then we'll look at the statement and grab the ending balance. Okay. Next is the manual ticking off of each transaction that shows up on the bank statement. So we look and see that this transaction is present on the bank statement. This is, and ultimately, in a perfect world, they're all there, so they all clear. And notice this clear date populates to show that the transaction has cleared. Now you'll know when you're done with the reconciliation process because this bank balance difference and the GL difference will both be 0. If these do not equal 0, you'll need to do some investigating, figure out what's off, and maybe make the correct adjustments in SL, whatever it takes to get these to balance out. But that's when you know that you're done with the reconcile process. You click Save, and you're good to go. And one thing we pointed out as a difference between Cash Manager and Bank Reconciliation is the amount of reports available to you in BankRec. So for example, under Reports, Reconciliation Detail. Let's do a print preview to see what that looks like. So here it shows you for 1030, which is the cash account that we just reconciled. You can see that it has pretty much the same fields as the reconciliation window, along with all the figures that were calculated. And you can see all the transactions that we marked as cleared as per the bank statement. So you've got the AP transactions, the AR transactions, everything's here. Another report that you can look at is BR transactions. And I want to note this drop down. You can look and see which checks have been cleared, which deposits have been cleared, and which haven't been reconciled. So this is a report that shows you all the cleared checks. and this is for this particular cash account that we just reconciled, so they're going to show as cleared. Now another option that we'll go through is in the reconciliation window, notice this Import Bank File button. This will lead into the part of the demo where we show you how you can bring in your bank statement electronically so that this whole manual process of checking transactions between SL and your bank statement can just be handled automatically.
I will be covering how to import bank accounts for bank reconciliation. Screens I will be using are BR Setup. You can find that under the Setup screen. I'm going to primarily be focusing on the second tab, that's the Import tab. I'm going to also be focusing on bank account maintenance. I'll show you one bank that we will be using. And lastly, under the Input tab, Reconciliation. Once we are in the Bank Reconciliation module, you can find that under Financial and then Bank Reconciliation. We're going to go to this BR Setup screen, type in our company name, so you can press F3, do the lookup. We're going to do Company 60 and it's Catalina Island. And it's going to populate company name, address, etc., and you click whatever modules you want to do. We're going to be focusing on this Bank Import tab, the second tab here. So this shows the three different bank file formats: comma separated, standard format, BAI2. So the comma separated, as you can see, is going to enable this first column. The standard format is going to enable both the beginning and the length columns. And then the BAI2 format isn't going to enable either. And I'll explain why in a moment. This view here is just to give you a better idea of what the bank file is going to look like when it is imported. So let's start with our comma separated, also known as CSV file. As we can see here, it's got numbers and the delimiter is the commas, so that's where it's going to catch what to separate and where to pull things in from. So first we have our account number, then our serial/check number, then our date, and then we have our description and our amounts. And I'm going to refer back to this when we go back to the slide and show you what to plug in accordingly. Next is our standard format, and this option applies to files that have no delimiters, as we can see here. And each record follows a defined standard format with regard to starting position and the number of characters in a specific data field. Lastly, we have the BAI2 format, and this option refers to files that conform to BAI2 format standards. This option has a very specific predefined format, so it will disable the beginning and the length column. Okay, so clicking on the comma separated file will enable the beginning, and that's where I took you through and showed you the example of what it's going to look like. So what we have to do is put in the order. So I did that here. We have the account number first, we have the serial/check number in the second position, we have the date in the third position, we have the amount actually in the fifth position, and the description in the fourth position. The next window we will be looking at is bank account maintenance, found under maintenance. So as you can see here, we have a couple different banks here, but what we're going to be focusing on is, since we're Company 60, we're going to be doing account ID 1030, Bank of Montreal, Cash Main. So say you pull up your bank account maintenance and there's nothing populated here, you can easily fill it in yourself, so make sure you have the right company ID. You can make up any account ID, just make sure it matches, and put in your bank name. Make sure it's a cash account because those are going to be the only ones that work with bank reconciliation. Whatever your bank account number is, current period, GL account, so that's going to be easy to, and the sub account if anything goes with that. So we're going to be focusing on that. I just wanted to show you what that's going to look like so you know where we're pulling from. The last window we will be using is the reconciliation window found under Input. So what this is asking for is the period in which we are looking to reconcile, which is 12/1999, so December of 1999. Our account ID, that's what I showed you in the previous field, which is that account ID 1030 Cash US main account. It's going to populate all this data. What this data represents is all of the checks that have not been cleared yet for this period. So we can go through, see there's a lot here. So what we want to do is have all of these boxes clear automatically for us. We could go through, manually check them, look at our bank statement and make sure they match and just go along and check them. But we don't really want to do that here. So I'll draw your attention to this bank balance difference and this GL difference. We want these to be 0 after we import a bank file. And right now we can see they're not, they're at a different number. So what we do is we go down to import bank file. Here we are. And this is the window that pulls up. You press browse. And this is the CSV, comma separated file from our bank. And then we press import. And all of these checks come up. So what's nice to do here is under view options, you can look between all records and unmatched records only. So if we click between here, ideally when you click on unmatched records only, nothing should pop up. I had something pop up to point out this problem to you. Nothing should pop up, but if it does, you're going to need to take this amount, take it to your general ledger and make an adjusting journal entry. So in a perfect world, nothing would pop up for unmatched records only, and nothing really should pop up. So after this, when all of the records are matched and we have no unmatched records, we press begin processing, and we press save, and we exit out, and we come back and look. All of our checks have cleared, so all of our data here is now cleared. And as you can tell, the bank balance difference and the GL difference are at 0. So mission accomplished, we did what we wanted to, and it's a really great feature, especially if you have a lot of accounts up, a lot of different checks you need clearing every month. You don't really want to go and look between your bank file and look manually and make sure. It's just better to import your bank file and have it all check out and make sure that it's accurate. So from there, you're going to save and you're done.
That concludes our demonstration of Microsoft Dynamics SL Bank Reconciliation module. We hope you found this helpful, and if you have any questions, this slide contains our contact information. Thanks and have a great day.